The moment we wear it, our spirits lift. It helps us grow strong in body and in mind. As we wear it, we learn patience and respect. The belt system motivates students to strive harder and continue growing. This uniform shapes movement into grace and turns performance into something thrilling. Now, embraced around the world, Taekwondo shares our culture, philosophy, and values with pride and spirit. Though it may seem simple, this uniform holds your passion and your journey. It belongs to Taekwondo. Wear the extraordinary. Be with Taekwondo.
President Lee Jae-myung has wrapped up his trip to the United States and South America. While in the U.S., he pledged to strengthen South Korea's role in the global AI supply chain. And in South America, he focused on deepening partnerships on critical minerals. South Korea is under an extreme heat wave, with temperatures in the southeastern city of Yangsan climbing to an unprecedented 42.5 degrees Celsius over the weekend. Authorities are urging residents to stay hydrated and avoid outdoor activities amid rising concerns over heat-related illnesses and deaths. U.S. President Donald Trump has said talks with Iran will begin on Monday. This comes after he called off planned strikes against Iran, following reports that the U.S. and Israel have been planning a new wave of intensified attacks. Hello and thanks for joining us on Arirang News. President Lee Jae-myung has concluded his 11-day trip to the United States and South America. In the U.S., he announced the San Francisco AI Declaration to bolster cooperation on related supply chains. And in South America, he sought expanding partnership on critical minerals. Our Blue House correspondent Yoon Jung-min starts us off.
Kicking off his overseas trip in San Francisco, President Lee Jae-myung has announced the San Francisco AI Declaration, pledging to make South Korea an irreplaceable pillar of the global AI supply chain.
세계 최고 수준의 메모리 반도체 경쟁력과 생산 역량을 토대로 신뢰할 수 있는 AI 반도체 생산 기지이자 공급망 파트너가 될 것입니다.
The event was attended by big tech leaders, including NVIDIA's Jensen Huang, OpenAI's Sam Altman, Samsung's Lee Jae-yong, and SK's Choi Tae-won. Samsung and SK Hynix have announced AI cooperation plans with the global tech giants worth $950 billion, highlighting their partnership. The sentiment was extended into a dinner meeting.
우리는 지구다.
President Lee has also met 6 top venture capital firms in Silicon Valley, including Andreessen Horowitz, for broader South Korea-U.S. partnership in technology and startups. After wrapping up a series of major corporate events in the U.S., President Lee took a trip to key economic powers in South America for one-on-ones with his counterparts from Brazil, Chile, and Argentina.
With Brazil, we have signed a joint statement on critical and strategic minerals, including rare earths, for cooperation across the entire value chain. We also have signed MOUs with Chile, which owns the world's largest copper and lithium reserves, and Argentina, the world's 4th largest lithium reserves.
Following the Korea-Brazil summit, Lee and Lula have agreed to resume talks within the year to discuss the Korea-Mercosur trade agreement. Over in Santiago, the leaders of South Korea and Chile have agreed to resume their bilateral free trade commission to modernize the trade agreements after the ECOST summit. President Lee has also met with Argentine President Javier Milei. As a result of the talks, South Korea will begin introducing crude oil from Argentina next year as part of an effort to diversify energy supplies and reached an agreement to avoid double taxation.
Following a flurry of diplomacy in recent weeks involving the EU, G7, and NATO, President Lee's trip to the Americas centered on AI, trade, and supply chains in the face of a fast-changing global order. Yoon Jung-min, Arirang News, Buenos Aires.
And wrapping up his five-nation tour, President Lee Jae-myung stopped over in Germany on Sunday and met with members of the Korean community in Frankfurt. He noted that this year marks the 60th anniversary of the dispatch of Korean nurses to Germany, who traveled there to help ease unemployment at home and earn much-needed foreign currency for Korea's economic development. The president praised the nurses for their hard work and sacrifice. President Lee is scheduled to return to Korea on Monday and head straight to the Blue House for a closed-door meeting on domestic issues, including the housing and stock markets. South Korea's record-breaking heat wave is intensifying, with all of Seoul now under the highest level of heat alert. The extreme temperatures have already set a new all-time national record and continue to raise concerns over heat-related illnesses and deaths. Our Lee Seung-jae reports.
The entire capital region is now under a heat wave warning as South Korea continues to endure one of its most intense summers on record. On Sunday, the Korea Meteorological Administration upgraded the heat wave advisory for northwestern Seoul to a heat wave warning, placing every district of the capital under the highest level of heat alert. A heat wave warning is issued when daytime highs of at least 35 degrees Celsius are expected to continue for 2 days or more, or when extreme heat is likely to cause widespread impact. The dangerous conditions extended well beyond Seoul. In the southeastern city of Yangsan, temperatures climbed to an unprecedented 42.5 degrees Celsius on Sunday. According to the KMA, the mercury first reached 42 degrees at 1:16 p.m. before peaking at 42.5 degrees just 10 minutes later. The reading is the highest temperature ever recorded on the Korean peninsula since modern weather observations began in 1904, based on data from the agency's 97 long-term observation stations.
I think this is the hottest summer I've ever experienced. Even after taking a shower, I start sweating again almost immediately. I've never seen temperatures reach 42 degrees before.
It also marked the 5th consecutive day that temperatures in Yangsan have exceeded the 40-degree mark. Health officials are growing increasingly concerned as the prolonged heat takes its toll. Government data shows that 1,781 people suffered heat-related illnesses between May 15th and July 31st, while 13 people died from heat-related causes during the same period. Authorities are urging residents to stay hydrated, avoid prolonged outdoor activities during the hottest part of the day, and pay close attention to vulnerable groups, including the elderly, young children, and those with underlying health conditions. Forecasters say there is little immediate relief in sight, with the dangerous heat expected to persist into the coming days. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
In other news, U.S. President Donald Trump says talks with Iran will begin on Monday after putting a planned strike on hold. While Trump says the outlines of a deal are already in place, Tehran insists no such agreement exists. Our Kim Jun-ho reports.
U.S. President Donald Trump says negotiations with Iran will resume on Monday afternoon. Speaking aboard Air Force One on Sunday, Trump said the two sides would engage in the form of a negotiation.
Well, now what we're doing is we're talking to them in the form of a negotiation. It begins tomorrow afternoon, and we'll see if it's on.
The president added that a deal on the Strait of Hormuz would come first, followed by Iran's denuclearization. In a Truth Social post on Saturday, he said progress in negotiations had prompted him to hold back the strike. Trump said Iran, as well as allies including Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, and Qatar, had asked him to hold off on any attack after the perimeters of a deal had been agreed. According to Trump, the proposed deal would require the immediate reopening of the Strait of Hormuz and an end to Iran's nuclear threat. Reports over the weekend suggested the U.S. and Israel were weighing strikes on Iran's energy targets. But Saudi Arabia may also have played a role in preventing the strikes, with the nation's state news agency saying Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman urged Trump to de-escalate the conflict during a phone call on Saturday. Trump later confirmed the conversation, telling reporters on Sunday that the Crown Prince would much prefer a deal as opposed to an attack. Yet Iran denied Trump's claim that Tehran had asked Washington to refrain from launching new strikes. State media dismissed the allegation as nothing but a new lie, insisting Iran's position on the Strait of Hormuz remains unchanged. It also said the country's armed forces were on high alert and ready for any eventuality. Meanwhile, Iran's official news agency IRNA, citing Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi, reported on Sunday that negotiations with Oman over the Strait of Hormuz were in their final stages. 김준호, Arirang News.
Credit card spending of foreign travelers in South Korea surged nearly 54% year-on-year in the first half of 2026, driven by a sharp rebound in Chinese tourists and more people traveling to regions outside the capital. According to BC Card data, the total number of card transactions also grew over 40% during the same period. Medical-related spending jumped by nearly 98%, with skincare treatments and pharmacy purchases leading the surge over plastic surgery. Spending also diversified beyond Central Seoul, with major regional tourist destinations such as Busan and Jeju seeing transaction volumes jump around 60%. And Seoul has been named the favorite city of global millennial and Gen Z travelers for the 5th consecutive year. According to the Seoul Metropolitan Government and the Seoul Tourism Organization, the city won the Favorite Worldwide City Award at the 2026 Trazies, presented by U.S.-based travel media outlet Trazie Travel. Having topped the same category every year since 2022, Seoul also received the Queen status, a special honor awarded to winners that claimed the title for 5 consecutive years, securing a place in the award's Hall of Fame. The recognition reflects Seoul's lasting appeal beyond traditional tourist attractions, as many visitors are now seeking authentic local experiences through Seoul's vibrant neighborhoods, K-culture, food, fashion, and everyday life. And in K-pop news, BTS kicked off its North American tour at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey over the weekend, with over 80,000 fans gathering to get a glimpse of their favorite group. The 2-concert stay in New Jersey kicked off on Saturday to a sold-out crowd and marked the group's return to the venue since their halftime performance at the World Cup final last month. The sold-out crowd also saw fans in support of BTS's recent boycott over the Grammys, after all 7 members announced they would not submit their music to the 69th Grammy Awards following the creation of a separate Best Asian Pop Music Performance category. The Arirang World Tour began in April and will span 34 cities around the world. In Cambodia, a female artist is turning something we eat every day into breathtaking works of art. She once made rice cakes for a living. Now that same rice has become her artistic tool. Our Kim Seong reports.
A graceful Cambodian dancer, the majestic towers of Angkor Wat, each one brought to life, grain by grain, by a single artist's hand. Every piece you see here is made entirely of rice. She goes by her artist name, Aisha. Her real name is Tom King Ong, a mother of 3 from Cambodia. She used to sell rice cakes for a living, but the cakes spoiled quickly, and the work barely paid enough to get by. So she turned to something she'd always valued, rice itself. She began studying art on her own, drawn to the idea that this everyday grain could carry artistic and cultural meaning. Today, she has created more than 60 works.
I used to sell rice cakes, but that wasn't sustainable. Then I became captivated by the value of rice and turned it into art. I hope people around the world can see these works made from Cambodian rice.
Each piece demands enormous patience. Rice grains placed one by one, day after day. Some works take days to finish, others take months. When she brings her art to local markets, both locals and foreign tourists stop to admire it, often lining up for a closer look.
Because of in the Korea and other countries, really hard to find this kind of rice art. We never saw. So, and my daughter like an elephant, so I purchased the elephant, the art.
Aisha hopes her art inspires the younger generation to slow down and embrace patience at a time when it's easy to get lost in a smartphone screen. These days, she's also thinking about her next work, one that carries a message of peace amidst tensions around the world. Kim Seoyoung, Arirang News.
As the National Museum of Korea continues to gain global attention amid the Korean culture boom, it's turning to latest technologies to preserve cultural heritage. The museum has installed the world's largest CT scanner, which allows experts to examine artifacts in detail. Our Cha Young has the story.
The National Museum of Korea, which ranked third worldwide in visitor numbers last year, is seeing even stronger momentum this year. Visitors to the museum in the first half of 2026 rose 39.7% from a year earlier. While foreign visitors still account for a relatively small share of the total, their numbers surged by more than 68% year-on-year. It's not only visitor numbers that have reached global standards. The museum recently introduced a new CT scanner capable of conducting highly detailed examinations of the interiors of cultural artifacts. It is the world's largest cylindrical CT scanner of its kind.
Even after surveying conservation science centers in Italy, we found nothing comparable in terms of size, performance, and cost.
The new system can examine large artifacts measuring up to 1.1 meters in diameter and 3 meters in length. It also offers more than 3 times the resolution of previous models. Safety has improved significantly as the scanner rotates around the artifact rather than requiring the artifact itself to be moved. The first artifact to undergo examination using the new CT scanner was a wooden-seated Vairocana Buddha at Jijangam Hermitage. During the scan, previously unknown relics hidden inside the statue's head were discovered for the first time. Having established a world-class CT inspection system capable of examining everything from small ornaments to massive wooden Buddhist statues, the National Museum of Korea now faces the challenge of securing more specialized personnel. Cha Young, Arirang News.
This is the world now. Spanish officials say at least 72 people died in last week's mass crossing into Ceuta, Spain's enclave on the Moroccan coast. This comes as 5 more bodies washed ashore on Sunday. More than 50,000 people rushed the border by land and sea beginning Thursday last week. Some drowned. Others were crushed trying to climb a breakwater and a border fence. Morocco's Interior Ministry puts its own toll at 11 and says it is still verifying reports from the Spanish side. Since then, nearly all of those who crossed the border have gone back to Morocco. Following the incident, 22 European member governments signed a letter demanding coordinated action on external borders. Italy suspended passport-free travel with Spain for 1 month. OPEC and other oil-producing nations on Sunday announced they will pump more oil starting next month. OPEC Plus will allow a total increase in production of roughly 190,000 barrels per day. This latest step finishes unwinding a cut of 1.65 million barrels that the group first agreed to back in 2023. In practice, this year's increases have barely reached the market. Wars involving Iran and Ukraine have disrupted exports out of the Gulf, Russia, and Kazakhstan. The 7 core members are to meet again September 6th. In Greece, 2 firefighting helicopters collided in midair west of Athens on Sunday, causing 1 helicopter to crash. The helicopter's Danish pilot and a Greek fire service officer were killed. The other aircraft made an emergency landing. The fire they were fighting has destroyed more than 100 homes. Investigators believe sparks from a private power line serving wind turbines started the fire. 2 people have been arrested on suspicion of negligence. In the United States, wildfires have torn through more than 250,000 acres of Washington state, forcing evacuations and cutting power to 60,000 people. The governor declared a statewide emergency on Saturday. About 4,000 personnel are fighting more than a dozen fires throughout the state. In Spokane, a city of 230,000, one blaze threatens 4,000 buildings. A veterans hospital and several water treatment plants have been evacuated. Chu Jae-hyun, Arirang News.
The extreme summer heat is entering a new phase. After Yangsan shattered Korea's all-time temperature record with 42.5 degrees Celsius yesterday, the hottest air is now shifting west, putting Seoul and the capital region under intense heat. And Seoul could reach up to 37 degrees Celsius this afternoon, making it one of the hottest days of the year so far. And most regions will stay sunny today. However, late this afternoon into the evening, passing showers are expected over southern Gangwon-do and northern Chungcheong-do provinces with 5 to 10 millimeters expected. And this afternoon, Seoul and Daejeon will be getting up to 37 degrees Celsius, Gyeongju at 36 degrees, but Daegu and Gwangju will make it to 39 degrees. The dangerous heat will continue through much of this week, so please avoid outdoor activities during the hottest part of the day. And remember the 3 essentials: water, shade, and rest. And please take good care in the heat.
Now that's all we have for today's noon edition of Arirang News. Thank you for watching. We'll be back at 5 p.m. Korea time. Stay tuned.